Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again for another video. This is Charmaine and this platform is Charmaine Speaks NPD, a platform where we discuss everything under the umbrella of narcissistic personality disorder. And as always, big thank you to my subscribers. I do invite you to come and subscribe. We've got a lot of content to discuss here, and also, as always, if you do find the content useful or engaging, then please do hit the like button. It gives me a chance to get the content in front of other eyes and ears, and it helps us to build our community here as well, which is slowly growing, and I'm loving it. I really want to show my appreciation to you guys for supporting. So yeah, pay it forward, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So today, I thought it was really important actually to discuss one of the most powerful, one of the most effective methods for dealing with a difficult, toxic, or indeed narcissistic person in your life. Now, obviously, as we know, for those of us who've done the research and who have been diving into this type of content, then you'll know that no contact is the ultimate method, for dealing with any toxic person or any narcissistic person or anybody who has this type of disorder. No contact, getting them out of your life, getting as far away from the toxicity as possible is obviously the best method. But, in reality, that's not always possible. That's not always possible. And that's why we, need to tap into other solutions that we can use to manage these types of people, okay, for our own health and well-being. So today I want to talk about grey rocking, and this is a really powerful, really effective method to be able to keep this type of person at arm's length, to protect yourself as well, to protect your feelings, your emotions, to protect your well-being, and to have some kind of control, to empower yourself, to have a form of control of what is going on, over how you navigate this type of environment. So, like I said, as we know, no contact, it isn't always going to be feasible. It isn't always going to be possible, and that could be for various scenarios. Like, for example, if you're in a romantic relationship with a toxic person or a narcissist, and you are not ready to take that leap for whatever reason. Now, it could be children, it could be financial reasons, it could be living conditions or living arrangements or anything like that. It could be a job. It could be a job that you can't afford to leave, yet you can't afford to quit, or you're just kind of not quite there yet to be able to make the leap into something else, right? It could be a family member. Sometimes you have to take care of your family members, right? And maybe you do that in an environment or a dynamic where you have to share this type of responsibility. For example, if you have to look after your parents or something like that, or your siblings, and you've got other family members that you share that care responsibility with, that's quite common as well. Excuse me. Or shared custody, that's another thing. If you've got shared custody with of your children with somebody else, your partner, or your ex-partner, should I say, that could be another reason. So there's various reasons why no contact isn't on the table right now, but that doesn't mean that we can use alternative ways to be able to deal with these types of people, right? So what is grey rocking? Now, you may have heard this term before if you've been diving into this kind of content, so you might know a little bit about it, but for those of you that haven't come across this term before, I just wanted to kind of get into a bit of a definition. So grey rocking is essentially what it sounds like. It's almost like taking on, if you like, the the essence of a grey rock. Like, a grey rock is pretty dull, pretty uninteresting. You know, it doesn't really do much. It doesn't really serve a purpose. It's easily going to go unnoticed, you know. So it's kind of like taking on the essence of a grey rock. So, okay, so what does that mean? In the context of a narcissistic or toxic relationship, is to essentially dial down and really, really minimize any type of response or reaction that you have to that person. Now, since we know or are learning about kind of narcissists and how they operate and how they view people, we understand, right, that narcissists draw supply from our feelings, our emotions, our reactions, and our responses. These are things that a narcissist feeds off of and is a form of supply to a narcissist. This is how they get their sense of self. Furthermore, this is how they understand their own self. This is how they take in their communication cues and what people think about them, how people feel about them, and they kind of gauge their own significance and their own importance and the kind of power and domination and control they have over people and their feelings through your responses, your reactions, and your emotions. So to a narcissist who views everybody pretty much as objects and who uses people, as I say, objects of utility, and uses people to serve their need for supply. And as I said, that supply comes from your reactions and your responses. It's a way, grey rocking is a way for you to basically decide and take up the decision, take up the stance that you're not going to be supply anymore for this narcissist. You know, you're not going to get into that mud pit with them and kind of roll around in the mud like a pig, with, you know, arguing and defending yourself and questioning them and trying to reason with them, and, you know, doing all of the normal things really that you do in any type of interaction. You know, in relationships, in any kind of relationships, it is completely normal. You know, I know the narcissist loves to gaslight and manipulate, you know, anybody that they have you know, an interaction with, or that they deem a supply, that, you know, it's basically, it's all your fault, there's something wrong with you, you need to improve, they're perfect, and basically everything is on you. That is not the case. It is completely normal, okay, for us as human beings to have situations where we are, you know, back in our own corner, defending ourselves, trying to explain ourselves, trying to reason with somebody, questioning, debating, sometimes arguing, you know, basically just having the range of emotions and the range of communication that every normal person has in, you know, any given situation. That is completely normal. But with a narcissist, it's going to get you in hot water. And that's really the top and bottom of it. It's going to end up in you being gaslighted, in you being lied to, manipulated, you know, you having reactive abuse kind of unleashed on you, you being baited, you being minimized, you being demoralized, and all, you know, the whole nine, because that's how narcissists operate. So when we grey rock, that's a way of dialing all of those reactions, all of those emotions, and all of those, like I said, very normal human kind of feelings and interactions, dialing it right down, almost to like a monotone, you know, kind of non-suggestive, non-reactive, really dull type of way of communicating. Okay, which can be difficult at first, because we're human, right? And we have to really catch ourselves, you know, and stop ourselves from feeling the range of emotions that human beings do. So it can be difficult, you know, in the beginning. But it's definitely an effective method. And in time, you become really uninteresting to the narcissist, and you essentially become a really crappy form of supply for them, because you're not feeding them with any positive supply, because obviously, yes, adoration and attention and validation and, you know, all of the positive types of supply that a narcissist tries to draw out of you, or, you know, looks for in order to validate themselves and, you know, kind of hold this false self, this fantasy, this novel that they've written where they are the main character, to hold that firmly in place. Yes, they love all that positive stuff, but they also love the negative stuff as well. Oh yeah, they love an argument. As you probably know, if you've got, you know, experience with this kind of person, they love an argument, chaos, confusion, destruction, and drama. This is all great supply to a narcissist as well. You know, anything that paints them as a victim or a hero, and anything that helps them to emotionally dump onto people, anything that kind of helps them to get any type of reaction, helps them feel significant and important. So this type of supply, this negative kind of reaction, this negative emotion is great supply for them as well. Okay, but when you start grey rocking, you become and you start to dial this down, you become essentially as interesting as a grey rock to them, right? It takes away all of their supply, and they start to become, over time, uninterested with you. Now, narcissists look at us all, anything outside of their self, that is, as an object. Now, an object, literally, like something that they use, you know, something that has some kind of utility for them. So think about like a toaster or a corkscrew or a sandwich maker, you know, something like that. That is essentially how the narcissist thinks about people. They think of people as objects. Now, granted, being in these types of relationships, because as I said, some people are in these toxic relationships for years, you know, sometimes decades, and by default, you can almost become like a shell. You know, one thing about being in a narcissistic relationship is that there's, you know, the longer you're in it, the higher the chance of you losing your sense of self, the essence of who you are, because they essentially want to possess you in every way, you know, control you, control who you are, control how you feel, how you think, control what you say, you know, and control and dictate to you who it is you are, what kind of person you are, you know. And they do, and it's like kind of death by 1,000 cuts. This happens over time. So it's a horrible way to spend years and decades, you know, relationally, whether that's in a romantic relationship, whether that's in a job, whether that's with parents or any type of relational setting. It's a horrible way to spend your time. You know, some people spend a lot of their lives in these relationships, and you can almost become, like I say, like a shell, where you kind of, you know, you've basically given up. You know, you've been through so much abuse and suffered so much pain, emotional pain, and it's worn you down so much that you've become helpless, you know, and you can really lose the fight, you know, and like I say, lose your sense of self, and that can be, I guess, a form of grey rocking, but that's not the grey rocking that's not the type of grey rocking that I want to talk about. The type of grey rocking that I want to talk about, and that I hope that, you know, as many people as possible catch on, you know, before that kind of helplessness sets in, is the empowering kind, the intentional kind, the kind where you make the decision that, no, actually, I'm not going to be a supply for this narcissist. I'm going to take control. I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to do everything that I can, starting with this method, to keep this person at arm's length and almost, create this kind of protective bubble around yourself. And when it's done in that way, it can be really empowering. It can be, a force for you to be able to call the shots again and, kind of take control over what is going on in this environment, in this toxic environment. And I think that's really, really important. And it's you, I guess, having radical acceptance, because that's what's needed in this, in this situation. Radical acceptance about who this person is and what's going on here. And I'm pretty much quitting on or throwing out, abandoning any type of genuine relational communication with somebody who is terminally disingenuous and pretty much unrelatable. So when you do start to grey rock, some of the things that you can expect to see, it will be, I guess, a range of reactions from the narcissist, because, the narcissist likes to kind of go in a cycle, right? It's the nature of the pathology. It's a range of emotions, and it's kind of like a cycle. So expect to see these things happening, because, like I say, over time, this will have a little bit of a time span around it. So it'll be an eventual kind of disinterest that you'll see from the narcissist before they feel like, okay, I'm going to go and find a new supply. So the first thing, okay, that you can expect to see from a narcissist when you start to grey rock, which is dialing down, like say, the emotions, the reactions, your responses, even your communication with them, to almost like a one word or a one sentence answer, completely flat, monotone, and just very detached emotionally, is that they're going to get mad. They're going to get mad. And they're going to get mad because first of, they're going to get really agitated. They're going to get aggressive. They're going to feel kind of aggy. Because, like I say, you're cutting off their food. You're cutting off their kind of air supply, in a sense. It's a narcissist needs supply. They need that, right? Okay, because that is how they get their sense of self. So you might have even seen it, actually, just very quickly, you might have seen a narcissist become really agitated when you're just relaxing, when you're just chilling, right? You could be watching a film, you could be listening to music, could be doing your toes or your fingernails or doing your eyebrows or whatever it is you're doing. You could be making candles, who knows? But when there is not really much going on, you're not really giving them attention because you're relaxing, you're in your own kind of Zen state. And, it's quiet, it's peaceful, and you're just chilling. It's an enjoyable thing to do, winding down, decompressing your brain, maybe after a busy week, you're just chilling, you're just relaxing. The narcissist, you might have noticed before, the narcissist will start to get agitated because they need you to give them attention. They need you to either give them attention, give them adoration, or give them some type of other supply. They might need you to talk to them, to conversate with them, because a narcissist is always trying to escape who they are, how they really feel deep inside, and also they're always taking in data from people that comes from that comes from communication cues, all types of communication cues, verbal and non-verbal, and that's how they basically operate. That's how they understand themselves, right? That's how they get their sense of self, from you, from people, from the data they collect from people. So when there's no data to collect, because there's nothing going on, they get really agitated, right? They don't want you to be peaceful. They don't want you to be quiet. They're like, hello, I'm here. Give me something, give me something. So yeah, you might have noticed that before, but when you start grey rocking, the first thing they'll do is they'll get mad. They'll get agitated. They'll get angry because you are not feeding them what they need. Okay. The second thing that they'll do is they'll get more and more kind of agitated, I guess is probably the best word. They'll get more and more agitated that you're not responding to them as you usually do. You're not giving them that same supply. You're not giving them the same responses. You're not being the character in their story that they wrote you to be. So they're getting more and more kind of peed off with this, and they're going to start baiting you. Okay, they're going to try and get a rise out of you. They're going to try and get the emotional response out of you, because then as soon as you do that, they're like, okay, they're back, my supply is back, everything is fine, everything is how I need it to be, they're doing what I want them to do, I'm significant, I'm in control, they're validating my sense of my fantasy, this fantastical reality that they live in, not the objective one that we all live in, but that reality that they've created for themselves. So they're going to try and get that rise out of you. They're going to try and get that emotional response out of you, because they need that. That's their supply, that's their food, that's their life force. That is their life force. So they're going to try and get this rise out of you, probably through baiting, probably through some kind of gaslighting or something like that. They might be telling you that you're an ignorant person because you're not really speaking to them. You're immature. You're a crappy communicator. You're treating them badly. You're being ignorant. They might even say you're giving them the silent treatment. They'll use all this kind of baiting to try and draw you out and get you to get back in the mud with the pig and roll around in the mud with the pig. But remember, the pig is happy in the mud and can navigate that mud like nobody's business. They love to be in the mud and they love to play with people in the mud. So if you jump in the mud with that pig, you're going to come out exhausted, dirty, tired, and feeling defeated. So don't fall for it. So it's about keeping that consistent and, like I say, monotone, kind of flatlined type of response and reaction. Now, an interesting thing that they'll do as well is, because everything is everybody else's problem and everything is everybody else's fault, they will, and they've noticed that obviously you're becoming disengaged with them and you're kind of, drawing away from the relationship. They'll probably start to feel like you're seeing somebody else. No, now, narcissists rarely have just one person, okay, but that's another conversation for another video. But lo and behold, their behavior should make you withdraw from the relationship. No, they will, and some say that what they accuse you of is an exposure of what they're doing, which I can believe. But they are also very insecure people. So what they will do as well when you start grey rocking, or commonly do, generally speaking, is they'll, and I've experienced this myself, they'll accuse you of cheating. They'll accuse you of going outside of the relationship because they think you're giving your attention to somebody else. And of course they cannot and will not self-reflect. They won't entertain the thought that it could be their behavior, right, that's running you off. So they'll accuse you of cheating. So this is just another tactic for them to get an emotional response out of you, for them to draw some kind of reaction out of you, and again, for them to get you back into that supply position. Another thing that they'll do as well is they will ridicule you and your other social interactions. So your other relationships, you know, typically with friends, maybe family members, maybe even work colleagues, but any other interactions that you've got going on. And if you have any interactions in front of them, they'll ridicule you. This from personal experience as well, but I've also heard other people talk about this. And they'll, if you have a laugh with somebody, if you're having fun, having a joke, having a conversation, or sharing maybe some good news with them, they'll ridicule you. They will, make fun of you. They'll mimic you. They'll start to despise the energy, the attention, the maybe fun, maybe just relational type of communication that you've got going on with other people, because you're not giving it to them. So they'll try and ridicule you. And again, it's just another way to draw a reaction out of you, because they need you back in position. They need you to get back on script and be there to give them that supply, So it'll be like a bit of a cycle of different reactions that you'll get from the narcissist, and they may even go back to the rage again. Like I say, they see us as objects, which is disgusting, I know, but they view people as objects. And much like if you want a piece of toast and your toaster doesn't work, and you're kind of banging it and tapping it and doing all of that and getting frustrated with it, and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, god damn this toaster kind of thing. That's kind of how they see it. Like, what are you doing? You're not responding to me. You're not giving me the validation, the supply that I need. You're no good. You're not good at all. So as time goes on, and if you are able to keep stay consistent with this grey rock method, they will start to become really disinterested in you, because you start to become less interesting if you're not giving them what they want, if you're not giving them what they need. So sooner or later they will become disinterested, they will discard you, and they will move on to another supply. Now, this can be painful, this really can be painful, because in these relationships, we know that something is wrong, okay? Initially, we know that there's something going on here that is very confusing, and that isn't right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't, you don't feel right. You start to get really confused. You start to question yourself and doubt yourself and everything else that comes around with it. And you start to look for answers. Then you start to speculate, right? Excuse me. And the more and more you learn, and the more pieces of information that you start to put together to build this puzzle of what's really going on, this horror movie that you've been cast in, like I said, because that's basically what it is. It becomes something that you suspect, something that you strongly suspect, and then something that you basically, it's almost like a concept that you prove, a concept that you take to market, and you have it proved for you. It's something that you almost put to the test with this grey rock in, and you become very aware, painfully aware, okay, that this person isn't who you thought they were. In fact, they have been and are using these abuse tactics on you, because they see you as a supply, they see you as an object, which reveals a reality to you that this was never real. This was never true love. This person didn't really care for you. This person has been lying to you. And it's it can be hard. It can be really, really hard. It's a hard, big, fat pill to swallow. So it can be really hard, and there will be a grieving process, like I say in my other video, because this person who we thought they were, this mask that they worn, this, you know, person who they, you know, were adamantly trying to, you know, push forth that they was in this relationship and gaslight the mess out of you. You know, anytime you kind of brought anything to their attention that you was witnessing, they're not this person. They're not this person. This person didn't exist. And so you need to grieve that person. And there is a grieving process that comes with this. And it's painful, you know, the abuse that you've been through, processing all of that is a painful thing to do. And this reality that you're facing now, that actually this person never cared, this person didn't love you, and they was never there for that, is also a painful process to go through. So even though the grey rock method is really, really effective, it really is effective, and it really does work, and not just for, you know, romantic settings, it works in families as well. And you can be kind of hated and, you know, gaslighted and smear campaigned within your family dynamic when you start to go grey rock. I mean, it's great because you can still obviously be around certain people in your family. You know, you don't have to miss functions, important functions, marriages, christenings, birthdays, you know, funerals. You know, you can still go there, and you don't have to go there, you know, and risk being, you know, have your heightened emotion, have your emotions heightened, getting into a, you know, a slanging match or a brawl, or feeling like you have to defend yourself against a group of family members that want to smear your name, that kind of thing. You can go to family functions, you can be around family, you can be grey rock, you can be in the workplace, you can deal with certain colleagues or a toxic work environment or a certain boss and be grey rock. You can do that, and you know, it works, it's really effective. But at the same time, in some instances, particularly when you're most emotionally invested, so I'd say romantic relationships or family relationships or even friendships really, but where you've had a high emotional investment and you've spent a lot of time exerting emotions, feelings, you know, energy, finances sometimes, you know, you've put years into this, you've invested so much of yourself into this, that can be really painful. You know, it can be kind of a you know, a two sides of a coin. One side, you are protecting yourself, you're alleviating the effects of that abuse that you're going through, and you may be on your way out of the relationship, which is a good thing, which is the best thing, which is a victory. But then there's that other side where you have to deal with everything that's happened. Excuse me. And that's happening to you. And that's painful. That's really painful. So it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do at all. And I think that, you know, it's just something to be aware of, that there is a danger, you know, because we might have our own things that get triggered, our own abandonment issues, our own attachment style, our own trauma bond to deal with, you know, our own feelings, human feelings, real feelings, normal feelings that we go through when we're, you know, detaching ourselves and letting go of something that may have been years or decades in the making, you know. There's a lot of emotions that come with that, and there is a danger that at some point, when we feel this narcissist disengaging and actually, you know, looking like they are walking away or walking out of this relationship with us, and they're becoming distant and they're kind of falling off, they're becoming disinterested, right? Because you're basically grey rocking them and you're not a good supply for them anymore. you know, there is a danger of us feeling like, I might want to engage with them again because I actually am feeling triggered, you know. And likewise, there's a danger of falling into the same patterns that we have before because of all of the discomfort that comes with it, because it can be quite hard. I mean, it takes a minute to get into the groove of grey rocking, just because we're human and we have a range of emotions. So it takes, you know, some time to get used to behaving in that way. And it's important that while we're around this toxic environment or this toxic household or this kind of toxic family dynamic, the normal, natural human feelings and emotions that we do have an outlet for them, just maybe not around the narcissist. But it's important to have an outlet for them. And it's also important to practice self-care. So like I say, that might look like therapy to deal with some things that we've got going on that we're triggered by. Having some really good friends or a community group, just to kind of a support system around us where we can have like I say, an outlet, a channel for our natural, normal human emotions while we're going through this grey rocking, to have some emotional support and talk about maybe what's happening to us, to reflect and introspect and try and heal some of those wounds that we've got going on.